Well, I won't be able to bring you up to speed on 10 things you need to know for today. So, just so you know, you don't get too offended. I mean, a number of you are probably are, but again, sincere apologies. We're just going to take a quick look at the front pages of the Nigerian newspapers, and I will be taking your calls, side by side as I review these headlines. The Punch newspaper leads with 2.7 trillion naira debt. Nigerians face blackout as gas producers cut supply to Gencos. Nigerians face blackout as gas producers cut supply to Gencos. A writer underneath it says a power minister, presidency aware of situation, say Gencos. You find that one on page 2 of the Punch newspaper this morning. And then Nigeria, Germany to deepen ties as Tinubu hosts the Stenmar. That's on page 27. And then moving on to page 19, bank workers blame CBN as cash shortage worsens. Defamation, that is the kicker. Abuja Oyo courts bar further sale of Farotimi's book. You find that one on page 7. And moving on to page 19, Gateway Airport. NCAA faults Ogun's claim of approval. Just above the Punch logo, PDP NWC meets today as crisis hits BOT. That's on page 25. And then moving on to page 14, a COVID-19 variant, inbound passengers to present health declarations. Moving to page 2, RMAFC, that's the Revenue Mobilization and Fiscal Commission, Tinubu panel differ on VAT sharing formula. And the last headline I will be taking from the front page of the Punch newspaper says a minimum wage nullgate tackles governors for sidelining local government workers. You find that one on page 26 of the Punch newspaper this morning. The Daily Trust newspaper leads with reps probe customs over smuggling brutality at borders. Reps probe customs over smuggling brutality at borders. Details on page 4. And then media stakeholders harp on press freedom and principled journalism. You find that one on page 14 this morning. Aircraft skids runway at Abuja Airport. Details on page 14. And moving on to page 6. Our reforms working. And this statement is credited to the President, Tinubu. Details on page 6. Adamawa Assembly sacks Lamido as Council of Chiefs chairman. Details on page 4. Lagos local government chair. 6 others die in Niger Jigawa auto crash. Details on page 17. And then National Grid collapses a 12th time in 2024. You find that one on page 23. And then on page 5, graduation celebration turns tragic as 3 students die, 30 others injured. You find that one on page 5 of the Daily Trust newspaper, and that's just about the size of it for the Daily Trust. The Nigerian Tribune newspaper leads with tax reform bills as the kicker. Framework to check abuse of VAT spending in place. Presidency talking there. List education, health, security, unemployment among priorities. You find that one on page 3 of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper this morning. An excerpt to that story says, we have framework for spending. We have states with flyovers where they have no traffic. There are more than 15 airports in Nigeria that should not have been built. We have states with malls where people don't go. They have no health centers. They have no road from the farm to the market. That's just to give you an insight or a heads up to what that story is all about. But again, you find it on page 3 of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper this morning. And then Dangote Refinery exports petrol to Cameroon. Details on page 6. Nigeria's oil production hits 1.5 million barrels per day in November. This according to OPEC report, and you find that one on page 6 as well. Moving on to page 5, court restrain further sale and publication of Farotimi's books. And then on page 14, NAFDAC destroys expired and also fake products worth 11 billion naira in Ibadan. And then this one here says federal government plans additional 150 megawatts by year end. National Grid collapses 12th time this year. And then to page 2, reps to probe Nigeria Customs Service over alleged smuggling at nation's borders. Just above the Nigerian Tribune logo, how government can address declining exchange rate. Omotayo Dada, ICNL MD, talking there, and you find that one on page 22. Moving on to page 13, malaria vaccine is a multi-dose vaccine. They must be completed. Professor Mokuolu talking there. And then moving on to page 21, the federal government's increase of monetary policy rate to 27% is stifling aviation growth. Captain Ado Sanusi talking there. That's on page 21 of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. And then right on the front page, right there, you have photographs, just to back up this particular, caption. It says, after 44 years, Adeleke reconstructs and also inaugurates Otan Ayegbaju Ireshi Intercity Road. All of that on the Nigerian Tribune newspaper this morning. Now let's take a quick look at The Guardian. The Guardian leads with, ahead of 2027, future of opposition uncertain as politicians begin realignment. That's the big news story on the front page of the Guardian newspaper. You find details on page 6. And then political stability, security top agenda at ECOWAS meeting. Details on page 3. And then moving on to page 6, power sector crisis. Gencos unpaid invoices hit 1.4 trillion naira amid 12th grid collapse. All right. Moving on to page 3, Tinubu will seek re-election. Opposition can't stop him, says Boala. On page 5, Dangote Refinery exports PMS to Cameroon, partners Neptune Oil. And then moving on to page 30, despite security blockage, Sanusi vows to install new district head of Bichi. Moving on to page 3, food security, experts worry over 40% post-harvest losses. And then on page 4, that's actually a news analysis, how electricity consumers can get, reprieve for injustice and complaints. You find that one on page 4 of the Guardian newspaper this morning. And that's just about the size of the headlines I will be taking from the Guardian newspaper. The Nation newspaper leads with how fund saved from subsidy removal is being spent. This is by the government. And right underneath it says, Idris, President focused on sustainable prosperity for Nigerians. You find details of our story on the front page, and it continues on page 2. An excerpt to that story says, hope rises for greed with progress on, Simon's project. Facility collapses 12th time. All right. Details on the front page. It continues on page 2 as well, just like I said earlier. And then moving on to page 3, Nnamdi Azikiwe Airport runway shut after cargo planes are skidding off. And then this one here says, infrastructure development tops Benway's 550 billion naira budget 2025 estimate. That's a page 4 read this morning on the Nation newspaper. Tax reform, Oyedele counters a RMAFC VAT claim. And then an excerpt right there says the role of RMAFC, that is the Revenue Mobilization and Fiscal Commission, is to determine, some sort of format, right, for distributing revenue. And that's according to section 162 of the Constitution, that speaks to the role of the commission as, advisory is actually focused on federal or federation revenues, and VAT is actually state revenue. Anyways, that's just an excerpt, to that story. Details on the front page. It continues on page 4 of the Nation newspaper. And then abandoned federal secretariat in Lagos to become luxury apartment. Details on page 3. POS operators raise charges. Banks ration cash. Details on page 4. And then moving on to page 3, court orders confiscation of Faratimi's controversial book. And then on page 7, Dangote Refinery begins a petrol export to Cameroon. All right. And then invest in our energy, solid minerals. Tinubu tells a German businessman. Details on page 2 of the Nation newspaper. I'll leave it there this morning for the Nation newspaper, and that's just about the size of the headlines I will be taking across the national dailies this morning because of time. And we really would love to get contributions from you like you always do. And again, sincere apologies for the interruption earlier. The numbers to call at this point in time are 090-8766-8888 or 090-7353-0044. All right, call in and let's hear from you. And you can also send a voice note or a message to the WhatsApp portal on 090-9705-4450. I mean, it's been a roller coaster this morning, but these things don't happen all the time, right? Hello, good morning to you.
Good morning, Your Highness, on radio.
Yes, good morning. Yes, what's your name? Where are you calling from? Good morning.
Yes, my name is UND. I'm calling right here in Asokoro.
All right, UND, good to have you. Please go ahead.
Yes, this morning I would like to talk about the daily trust, about the rest that prove the customs. You see, my sister, you see, our legislators have failed us, to be frank, ever since 1999 that the democracy came. Once we put them there, they are not doing it, to be frank. You see, most of these agencies and these ministries, the senators and the reps oversight, the oversight functions, they are not doing their work very well. So I urge the president and the executive to, do something about that, because we are sitting on gunpowder, to be frank. We are not happy with what we are seeing in Nigeria, to be frank. You know what we plan.
All right.
That is going on. So I think that our listening president will try his best to write his name on gold, as I always say.
All right.
The life itself is too short. So what is impact? Good. Will talk for you.
Okay.
For your first generation. Thank you, and God bless you, and God bless Nigeria.
Thank you very much, UND, for your line of thought. Well, at this juncture, I think it would only be, okay for us to try to keep our thoughts, very short and, simple, so we can accommodate diverse views. We don't have, much time on our side. All right. Hello, good morning this morning.
Princess, good morning.
Good morning to you, King. What's your name and where you're calling from?
Thank God it's Thursday. It's Obasanjo calling you from Amali, Niger State.
All right, Obasanjo, good to have you. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Plenty headline that you bring about. The criminal justice of our great lawyer. You know it. I don't want to talk about it. Why? Because it's criminology in our country. Things that you don't believe that will happen, you will see them happening. Let me not go far to that. We'll come back to that later.
Right.
On Daniel Bwala, we don't know. You are in Abuja. I don't know where you are. Either you are in Lagos or you are in Abuja with Port Harcourt or Adama or Borno and co. Then, but we will help you campaign. Why? Because it's same you that tell us about the president. And we equally write it down. We have the documentary of it. In 2027, we don't know what you will bring or what you tell Nigerians that we want to believe you. This is the Judas of our days. So we will write it down. We will have it down.
Okay.
In 2027, we will help you telling the Mr. President, this is what you say to in 2023 election. This is what you speak. Or is it Mr. President is trying to damage the PDP? That is why the spokespeople of the People Democratic Party is calling them so that they will not come and fumble him in 2027. But
okay, Obasanjo.
Some of the people are in PDP. We will tell you, Mr. President, what Daniel Bwala said.
Okay.
We will not, without no favor, no fear. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Obasanjo. Thank you. We understand that you have a lot more to say, right? And 2 minutes won't even be enough for you to put your thoughts together. You always speak passionately, to these issues bedeviling us as a nation. But thank you. Hello, good morning to you. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning. What's your name and where you're calling from, real quick?
Yes, my name is calling from the
I know your antics, all right, so please try again. All right, let's see if we can take this one. Okay, let me just quickly head on to the WhatsApp portal now, and also take the messages, side by side, the voice calls. We have this one here, Austin. Ogene Mano Austin, Ado Nasarawa State says the federal government and Afe Babalola are making Farotimi popular, each passing day by their actions. It is like in the 80s when an Indian writer who came out with a book titled Satanic Verse was very popular. And the book was banned worldwide. I want to read this controversial book, by Farotimi so that I can have his view on how corrupt, the Nigerian judiciary is. Oganemano Austin, thank you very much for that, message. But again, we understand that they've actually put a stop, to further publication of, Farotimi's book. But again, this is one, story or development that has been sparking, a lot of reactions. We definitely would discuss it, but of course, we're waiting, for it to gather, more momentum before we talk about it extensively. Hello, good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning.
Yes, good morning. What's your name and where you're calling from?
My name is Barrister Hassan. I'm calling from Airport.
All right, Barrister Hassan, please go ahead.
Sorry for the hiccup.
Right.
This way. Yes, let me just combine two headlines because they are related. Shortage of gas, Genco and this collapse of national grid. Then we are taking more loans. Let's combine the two. You see, instead of taking more loans, let us open our doors to foreign investment in the power sector.
Okay.
Because the Electricity Act of 2023 is the most liberalized legislation on the power sector. Because we are now looking at more sources of power supply, and now I'm not commerce affairs from the federal government, state government, local government, even the individuals, corporate bodies can now generate power. So let us open our doors. That is the best way to solve this problem.
All right.
There are many people looking for areas, countries to invest. People who are well versed in the power sector.
All right.
Hi. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Barrister Hassan, for your line of thought right there. But, the president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has also urged Nigerians not to expect a magical response to the prevailing electricity challenges in the country, as the existing power infrastructure has been on ground for decades, right? He also highlighted ongoing reforms aimed at fostering a business-friendly environment and attracting foreign investment in the country. But again, it's been views and counter views trailing, the progression of events in Nigeria's power sector. It leaves us with a lot to take in, all right, and of course so much to talk about. Let's see if we can take this one. Hello, good morning to you.
Good morning, Omoife.
Good morning. What's your name and where you're calling from?
Dr. Lajide from Usesonse.
Olajide, good to have you today. Please go ahead.
Thank you. I'm playing the line of last caller, Barrister Hassan.
All right.
That the electricity has been liberalized thanks to the last government of APC. And I keep saying it, especially FCT here. We have Usman Dam, that gigantic dam. FCT can tap into it for electricity. Other states too can do a little about this electric generation. If not, we will continue to have this kind of issue of light in, light out. So we expect the state, local government, private sector to tap into this policy of generating electricity to help us. Finally, Omoife, on the issue of Farotimi, I'm urging the court to expedite action on this matter so that we can know whether it's right or wrong for anyone to just wake up one day, one night, to pick into a Bible and write against anybody we feel that he doesn't like. And it will just be like that, and nobody will challenge him or her for writing so. So court
should please get action on it,
All
so
right.
that whether it's popular or not, we just want to see the outcome of this, so that we will know where we are going concerning freedom of speech in this country. God bless Nigeria.
Thank you very much, Olajide, for your line of thought. Hello, good morning to you.
Is this concern the princess of the airways. This is Bright.
Good morning to
Good
you,
morning.
Bright. Good morning.
This, you see, in Nigeria, truth is always better. When you say truth to the powers, they pursue you. Even if you run to the cave, they will pursue you. Who doesn't know that the judicial system is corrupt? Who is that person that doesn't know? When they tell you, go to court, and maybe you see some underhand dealings, inside dealings. Go to prisons. You see people who are on remand. They have not been sentenced for many years. You see them being remanded. And you see some people again, when you see them, they give them controversial statements. Somebody that may be on life sentence, they just give him it. After killing many people and destroying many things, they just give him 2 years. He will still come out. It's not that we don't like this government or we criticize government. We criticize them because they are not doing the right thing. This power has been massively invested in. Who are the people that have found the money? We have not even judged them. We have not even collected our money from them. And they are telling us that they are using 29 billion to restart every national grid that failed. Which means it is even more profitable for Nigerian politicians for the grid to fail so that they will be using 29 billion naira to be restarting the state until they fight the corruption we see in Kurukuru, humanitarian affairs, and they fight it, this Accountant General, they fight it Kurukuru, and we see that it's working.
All right, UND.
Giving us which words doesn't appeal to me. Thank you.
Thank you, UND, for your line of thought. Bright, I beg your pardon. All right. Today has been one heck of a day. We have a message right here on the WhatsApp portal. Abbas reporting from Dutse says, good morning, Omoife. Concerning Dangote Refinery exporting fuel to other countries, I can see why fuel pump price will not drop, because if the NNPCL was to give Dangote Refinery a rebate price for crude in order, for price to drop, they will further export the product and Nigeria will not get product locally. So therefore, fuel might not go down soon. All right, Abbas from Dutse there. Thank you for that message. All right. Okay. The numbers to call us is 09087668888 or 09073530044. You can also send a voice note or a message to the WhatsApp portal on 09097054450. Let's quickly take a listen to this message that we have on the WhatsApp portal. But I guess that will be after this call. Hello, good morning.
Good morning,
Yes,
you are calling you back.
All right, welcome.
Yes, there's something I forgot to say. You see, about this our grid that used to collapse always. Other clients that don't even have water, they have many plants they used to use, and we have gas, abundance of gas. In this 21st century, it not only use water. Other countries, small countries of Africa continent, they don't talk about life, people up down. They don't talk about life because they have many plants that you can use. It's not enough that, and we have gas abundantly and air on the space that you can use it. All the whole state can produce many plants that can produce light.
All right.
Okay. So I urge the government to, all this traveling outside, they should learn about that.
Okay.
Thank you and God bless Nigeria.
Thank you very much, UND, for calling back. Now let's take a listen to this voice note sent by Salasi. Good morning to you, Salasi.
Good morning, Omote. My name is is Salasi sent this voice note from Garki. I want to start by saying, congratulations, Nigeria. Crude oil is at 1.5 million per day. We can even do 2 million or 3 million per day if not because of the oil theft. Because we need to understand that most of this crude are being stolen every day. And just like what the former presidential candidate Peter Obi said, he said crude oil is not like a chocolate that one can steal and put in his pocket and run away with it. He said it's the higher and mighty that steal this that stole this crude every day, really. So these are the things. So I want to still talk about the issue of this custom. To be sincere, if you see what custom are doing on the road, almost I have drive from Abuja to Lagos by road. To do this order, and I have still drove from Abuja. I follow through Kwarakon. If you see what these customs are doing, in fact, something needs to be done about these people. They are so corrupt that any vehicle, in fact, they go extra mile. They don't know about pharmaceutical, but you see them, a lot of things being done by this custom. Something needs to be done about them. NAFDAC destroying drugs, fake drugs, and a lot of goods in Ibadan. Kudos to them.
All right, thank you very much, Salasi, for that voice note. And indeed, the very unfortunate, act, being perpetuated by some customs, officers. Of course, we understand that investigation, is actually ongoing rather. The Speaker, Tajuddin Abbas, has mandated the House Committees on Defense and Customs to investigate the matter and also report back within 6 weeks for legislative action. So we wait patiently to see the outcome of that investigation, right? So that, acts like this can actually, be looked into and also dealt with. Comrade Ulobasi from Buhari just sent a message. It says, good morning, Omoefe. The collapse of the national grid has become a recurring decimal since the inception of this government. If it's true that the amount involved in restoring this grid whenever it collapsed is anything to go by, then the national shame will continue unabated because many people have been smiling to the bank on this cause. Also, we were told that the DSS has stepped in to unravel the cause of this incessant grid collapse, but nothing is happening up until this moment. Maybe we will have to invite terrestrial beings from outer space to help us out. May God Almighty save us from ourselves. Amen. Comrade Ulobasi from Buhari, right there. Thank you so much for that message. But I think I'll just have to leave it here now because of time. And apologies once again, for, the interruption earlier. I really am not happy that we're not able to accommodate more views because the studio lines are still buzzing. But let's leave it here. And of course, Vicky Vic will be right here in a bit to bring you up to speed with the latest happenings in the world of sport. And I will be back at the 9 o'clock hour to discuss the implications of Yahaya Bello's remand. And I will be discussing this extensively with an anti-corruption activist. So stay tuned and don't touch the dial. We look forward to hearing from you at that hour. On a final note, the views expressed on the Pages segment this morning were not influenced by Eagles FM 102.3 Abuja. My name is Omoefe Peace Osemere. Keep listening.